Welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast, your number one opinion source for all things entertainment. Join host Marco Mazzola as he sounds off on the latest movies, TV, music, gaming, comic books, and more. Now, here's the man of the hour, Marco Mazzola.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast. I am, as always, your host, Marco Mazzola. And tonight with me, I have two special guest ranters from the Geeky Dad. We have Raphael Moran. Hello.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Good. I like that intro. Wow.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, we're workshopping a few other ones. I got some in the works and outros and things like that. So, yeah, I'm always tinkering.
I always feel like when we start this, I'm like, any minute now, Schwarzenegger is going to walk in, and it's going to be like a scene out of The Last Action Hero.
Yes. And so that other voice we hear and see is Marie Brownhill from The Trekker's Delight. Hello, Marie.
Hello, everybody.
So I was just listening to our podcast, Marie, on Jumping Jack Flash.
Yeah, no, me too.
That dropped today. So I was listening to that. So I'm kind of annoyed. I didn't bring my mixer home with me. I'm hoping the mic settings work on this one because, as you could tell, the mic setting wasn't great.
Yeah,
I jacked up your mic on this one. We'll see. If I record directly to the mixer and pull that recording off, it seems to be better than just taking it from StreamYard. So We'll see. Fingers crossed. I jacked up both of your mics, so hopefully that works out a little bit better. And I'm also doing a split recording of each person's audio, so maybe I can tweak that in GarageBand and see what I can do. So I have
Marco, what's all this fancy shit you're doing?
I am fancy pants. I'm telling you right now.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I got fancy all out of me. I'm wearing my new Funko fan club shirt today, so I'm pretty happy about that.
I am super proud of you, by the way. Like, well done. It's not either your business or your
Batman
rant.
one. I know. I got my new Batman Funko shirt as well. Yeah. I'm excited about that. Yes. No. I as we talked about offline, I brand everything. Yeah, at my school, everything's branded. I tell the students, if you stand still long enough, I will brand you. And they mostly are. They're wearing a T-shirt and the uniform with our logo on it. And they're duffel bags generally.
Like, I was telling Raphael, Marco managed to brand our show. Like, he took Trekker's Delight and, like, branded it Entertainment Rants. And we're still, like, we were all just kind of like, how did this happen?
Because Marco's kind of a force of nature when it comes to branding.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, well done, you.
I spent a long time in that world, but prior to owning the school, I did a lot of that at the previous company I worked for, and then having my own business, I've spent the last 13 years doing that, and mostly in the last 4 or 5 years when we rebranded the school. It was a huge exercise.
I'm surprised you haven't done a tattoo yet.
I thought I have one. It's nothing to do with the school. It's a Chinese character for the word dragon, and which is the year I was born and things like that, with a yin yang symbol and some flames or whatever. I got that a long time ago, and I still have little flashbacks. You know, I would consider myself a decently tough person, where like I've been taking martial arts since I was 8 years old. I've been kicked in the head by all manner of people, big and small, and other parts of my body, and I don't really go down very easily.
There's so many things I could say right here. Many things.
That sounded a lot dirtier.
Personal growth, guys. Personal growth.
That did sound dirtier than I meant it. But you know what I'm saying? So, but I got the tattoo. The first tattoo I got, I was in my early 2021, whatever. My buddy and I went together, and I remember getting it. It's like first 10 minutes into it, and the guy's like, "You doing okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine, no big deal." And then another 25 minutes go by. He's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm doing good. I'm doing all right." 30 minutes goes by. He's like, "You okay?" I'm like, After that, he's like
Kermit the Frog there.
Yeah, a little bit. And then he goes like, "You might want to breathe because you're going to pass out." I look right at him and go, "I'm trying for that, so shut up." Like, I'm trying to pass out.
You're like, no. This is the goal, my friend. This is the goal.
Just don't put anything rude on me and just finish up when you're done.
Oh my god! I have one of those from the.
It's on my back. It's on my back.
Okay.
My back shoulder blade area. So I've always like contemplated.
Stamp, right?
No. I figured I'd save that for later. When I hit 50, I think I'll get one of those when I hit 50. Because then at that point, the skin is kind of going to be where it's going to be, and it doesn't sag too much.
Yeah.
You say that.
I don't want to sit on the tattoo at some point. You know what I mean? Everything starts head south on you.
Shit.
Gravity be strong up here in Boston. So you got to be careful.
I gotta tell you, I think this is a record, man. This is further than I think we have ever gotten. On a rant.
We haven't actually told what we're talking about for the show.
Right. We were 5 minutes into it, guys, and
we have not talked at all about where.
Yeah.
So our subject tonight, thank you, Marie. Great segue. I have 1,000 pennies. Good segue. We are talking about Breaking Bad this evening. We'll talk a little bit about Better Call Saul as well. For those who have seen Better Call Saul, the new season has started. Although I'd like to do more of a bigger episode on that after it's completed to kind of go over a whole a Better Call Saul review. So we're going to mostly stick to Breaking Bad and its review tonight. I've been dying to do this one since we started. It's literally one of my favorite shows of all times. I don't know how many. I forget, Raphael. I think I've watched the series at least 8 or 9 times straight through. Minimum 8 or 9 times straight through, like the entire series, beginning to end. I've studied the series. I've watched so much about the series. I've seen El Camino. So let's kind of go around and give me your sort of history with the show and what your thoughts. Who wants to go first?
Well, I started from the beginning. I started when it was on AMC, first season, and I was hooked from the beginning, and I was the one that was telling everybody in my friend circle, check out this show, and everybody's like, I don't want to watch that show. Sounds weird. And then suddenly,
the premise is kind of weird and kind of dirty, right? Like it's all the drug references and everything like that. It's a little
and also deeply depressing. Like it's
super depressing.
Right? The guy is literally turning to crime in order to not die.
Right. Yeah. He knows he's dying, but he's doing it just so he can give money to his family because he's got inoperable cancer.
Yeah. And when I kept telling people who was starring in the show, they're like, Malcolm's dad?
Right. That was one of those weird things, kind of like when Michael Keaton became Batman, and be like, Mr. Mom is Batman. Right? Take it to the 2000s, and you're like, really?
Yeah. Malcolm's and then you're like, oh.
Yeah. I think around season 5, that's when pop culture finally caught up with the show.
It did take a while.
Everybody started
talking about it. I thought it was closer to season 3. I thought seasons 1 and 2
sometime later. Yes,
I would say 3 when you had a lot of the Gus Fring stuff with Giancarlo Esposito.
Right.
That really is when the show skyrocketed. Yeah. I said this on Raphael's show. I could watch that guy read the phone book and just be fine. Yeah, he is so.
That man could literally read the phone book, and I would have nightmares because he has just mastered that air of malignant menace.
Because think about what you've seen him in, right? He's in The Boys, plays a super creepy character. Now he's in Star Wars, right? He's in Mandalorian, plays a super creepy badass, character. Right. You know what I mean? You just see him one after the other picking these roles that.
Dude is just I've got a shtick, and I am and I'm married to him now.
But I've seen him in interviews. He seems like the nicest, happiest, smiliest, friendliest guy you've ever want to meet. He flips that switch, man, and plays one of he is now, or his Gus Fring character, and we'll get into all that, is still on one of the 100 top best villains of all time. Up there with
that
Darth
guy
Vader.
Is terrifying.
Yeah.
Right. Terrifying. He has OCD as that character, right?
It seems that way because he's so neat and fastidious, but it's not actually they never really talk about it.
I don't think it's OCD. I think that's actually basically his need for control.
Yeah,
that's demonstrated.
Yeah.
He has to be controlled. It's a literal manifestation of his need for control all over everywhere, and it manifests itself most strongly in how he controls his environment.
Right,
the things that he can control. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
His appearance.
Seriously, you don't become that kind of because he ultimately ends up with this, empire, which is hilarious. The concept of there existing an empire in Albuquerque. It's still what I think one of the greatest successes of the show is literally convinced people that Albuquerque is the place where people are competent enough to do that, and they're not, guys. They're not.
Right.
So let's put a little context here. Marie knows firsthand because Marie, you live in Albuquerque.
I do, yeah.
You've met the locals,
as it were.
Yeah, exactly.
As it were. Yes. There's a lot to love actually about New Mexico, and But that's not one of them. The levels of confidence is not one of them. And it's even funnier, right? Like, because, people will come and do these, like, tours of the area, and they're all like, so where's the meth? Meth's not big here. Meth's not big here. Now, heroin? Yeah, we got heroin. Right. We got other stuff. But meth just not a big deal. And it wasn't really until after Breaking Bad that it started sort of like filtering in, because and New Mexico is like a site for a lot of drug trafficking, because we're less trigger happy than either Texas or Arizona.
Right.
Gotcha. So isn't that nice that the show brought it to you guys?
I know. It's like,
here's our gift to you. Thank you, Vince Gilligan.
Cheers.
Yeah, now you have two things: Area 51 and Breaking Bad. Now.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome.
Also the Trinity site.
Oh,
I haven't actually seen it because why the hell not?
Why not? What else? Is there to do?
It's about 3.5 hours south of here, and it's only open because White Sands Missile Range is still an active missile range.
Right.
They're still doing weapons testing down there. But 2 days a year, like the first day of the first weekend in October and the first weekend in April, I think, are when it's open, and you can go down and you can actually see where they dropped or they tested the first bomb.
Right. Wow. Is there residual radioactivity there?
Oh my god! Like this entire state glows in the dark.
You can easily find it with your eyes closed.
I am convinced that we have twins because we were.
I was going to say that. Is that how you got the twins?
Yeah, like that's it right there. Is there's just freaking like ambient radiation? Like there are all kinds of things that have been dropped or experimented with or like whatever. And so we actually got here because my husband was active duty Army, and there's a unit that's on the Air Force Base here. And on their particular compound is one of Oppenheimer's old offices buildings, like where he was doing some of the initial work before he moved up to Los Alamos.
I think Chris Nolan is doing an Oppenheimer movie. I wonder if he's going to shoot there.
I mean, everybody is shooting here these days.
Right, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're saying Bob Odenkirk's just...
In Alec Baldwin's case, it's quite literal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Woo! Brought that right around.
Too soon. Too
soon. I don't think he's going to show Marie's house. That's okay.
No. I'm going to this.
Where you live. He doesn't know where you live. It's okay. So I have a trailer for the show.
Oh, we're gonna. Do I get to tell my story?
I figure with two. Which story?
We talked about how Raphael got into the show. We haven't talked.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Do your. I'm sorry. We were talking about you living.
I was a late comer to Breaking Bad, and it literally, like I was telling you last night, actually, is sort of the kickoff story. So I'm literally sitting there. I'm in Alexandria, Virginia. I'm writing a brief on the world's most boring ass shit, and I'm like, all right, okay, gotta get it done. And my mother calls me, and she's like, "What do you know about shake and bake meth labs?" And I'm like, "Nothing, Mom.
Shake and bake."
Nothing. I mean, the only thing that's coming to my mind is, and I helped. Like, there's I got nothing. Like, I was just like, no, Mom. And she's like, well, do you know anything about the laws in Georgia about this? And I'm like, no, Mom. There is, in fact, not in law school a Meth 485 class where you learn all of this. I'm in Virginia, so I have access to Virginia law because, in case you didn't know, legal databases are effing expensive. And so you basically have your jurisdiction and the jurisdiction in which you practice, and then you pray to God that you can go find your subscription somewhere else at like a library, is how that works. And I'm like, no, Mom, I don't know anything about this. And she's like, well, so-and-so has just been pulled over and arrested in Eccles County for a shake and bake meth lab. And I'm like, you keep saying these words.
You keep using that word.
Put them together.
I don't think it means what you think it means.
It's not making any more sense to me. And so, like, my mom's like, go ahead, Google it. I'm like, I am not Googling shake and bake meth lab on my work computer, Mom. It's just not going to happen.
No, absolutely not.
And then she's like, well, you can find out more about it. Like, you watched Breaking Bad, right? And I'm like, first off, I'm amazed that you have, Mom.
I don't think that's real.
And secondly, no, I have not actually seen Breaking Bad. So, like,
I don't think it's that real.
Yeah, I know. But we're just going to set that aside because she's like, oh yeah, no, like you can learn all about it. And then, you can come back to me and tell me what these people, like this person can expect when, like when they go up for arraignment. And I'm like, also never practice criminal law, Mom. Ever. I'm literally writing an appellate brief about like recovery and tort, man. Like it's not.
So bottom line is Mom has no idea what you do.
No, not at all. And nor does she care.
Right.
Well, because you weren't doing what she needed you to do right then.
Right, which is clearly, obviously, I wasn't taking the right notes, right?
So anyway, did not show up that day, did you? You skipped that day, didn't you?
I did.
You skipped Shake and Bake Meth Lab day.
Dude, I must have been hungover. Like that must have been it.
That's college.
So, and then like literally within a week, my husband calls and says, "Hey, we're getting transferred to Albuquerque," and I'm like, "What? Like, what is going on?" So there was this weird sort of nexus, and I'm like, "All right, God wants me to watch Breaking Bad, and Bryan Cranston and his tidy whities. Let's do this."
That's awesome.
Let's do this.
Oh, so you've been there since that time? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we've been here a while.
Wow.
Now, admittedly, we didn't actually get here at that particular time because we still had to go and do like a year-long stint in Florida, so that my husband could learn how to blow things up legally.
Yeah.
You need that every once in a while.
I know, right? I mean, he was like super done with practicing criminal law, and so he was just like, "I'm on peace out. I'm gonna go blow things up." And I'm like, "This is what." I was like, "You are the least detail-oriented human being on the planet."
Yeah, you're probably one of them.
I was like, "All right, so what you're saying is I'm going to take out extra life insurance on you because when you die, I want it to be lucrative for me."
Yeah.
I am still of that opinion, by the way.
Hopefully, he doesn't bring work home.
Yeah.
Except he does.
Yeah,
right.
Like we ended up with all kinds of random ass crap. Like
Did you have a good 4th of July though?
Did you ever see? I think it was Chris Tucker with Jackie Chan, and they did those. What was the name of the movies they did together? I'm losing it.
Rush Hour.
Rush Hour. Was it 3 or 2 when they were at the consulate? And he's got the bomb, the jacket bomb. Where he's like, and Chris Tucker's like, "Oh, I know that ain't the bomb." He's like running away. He's like, "You didn't just bring that fucking thing here, did you?"
Yeah, that was my life.
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing. Like, I know that ain't the bomb.
That was my life. I mean, he would come home with random stuff, and like I would find it later, or I wouldn't find it.
Playing with dynamite.
Like I would literally do laundry and then run all of his crap through the dryer, and he would come back and he'd pull out various things out of these pockets after I'd folded them and put them away, and he's like, "So you didn't run this through the dryer, did you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like like this is Florida, right? Like I mean, I can't put this outside to dry because it will never dry.
It'll just burn up.
Right? And so he's just like, "So yeah, that could have been bad." I'm like, "I'm gonna need a little bit more than that." And it turned out that he had various explosive bits and bobs that he'd forgotten about in his pockets.
Wow.
Isn't that 101? You get home, check your pockets for bombs.
You'd think.
You think.
This is also the same man that ordered a landmine.
Ah, gotcha.
Off the internet.
Grab the cat and let's go.
I'm not even joking. Like one day.
I hope you have a good insurance, actually. Yeah.
I give $5 whoever gets that reference. This is gonna be all night, just so you know. It's a $5 per reference. If you can call it out after I say it, you get $5. Grab the cat.
Does it count if I look it up?
No, you can't cheat. You cannot cheat. No cheating.
So anyway, like this broken down, if it fits a chips box, shows up on my doorstep, and I'm like, "What is this, honey?" And he's like, "Oh, that's my landmine," and I'm like, "Drop." Who orders a landmine? Who orders a landmine when you have twin toddlers?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here like, in my marriage vows, did not write down, do not order explosives off the internet.
You forgot to put that in there.
I know. Like,
he still has all his limbs, right?
So, Who, Lefty? Yes, Lefty has all of his limbs.
Yeah, no, he does. Mostly because they actually took him off anything involving power tools because he set himself on fire.
Gotcha.
Wow.
It's a deep exploration into your husband.
Right. I mean, but this is literally the kind of thing that would happen in Albuquerque, right? Like, because it's, the Breaking Bad.
What else is there to do?
Watch the segue, guys.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad literally captures that kind of WTF feel that is very much a character of Albuquerque.
It does feel outerworldly sometimes on that show.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels outerworldly here. I mean, I remember looking around. I remember going to the bank for some reason, and this woman she's an elderly woman, and she's surrounded by all of these people that are presumably related to her in some form or fashion, and she's literally talking to the bank officer, and it's just like because she's there to open an account. She's like in her 80s, guys, and she's never had a bank account.
Wow.
Like this is her first bank account.
Wow.
And I was trying to figure out like why this person had brought this incredibly dusty ass bag of stuff with her. And it turns out that they were mason jars full of money that she had been putting away.
Wasn't all pennies, right?
Meanwhile, my wife tells me the story about her grandmother, I think it was, on her father's side, who like they had to clean out her house, and there was like checks from like the 1920s and 30s, like just sitting in like, what is this? These
never cashed them.
No, they were like cash checks, like you get the canceled checks. She's like, these banks are long gone. Why do we have these? Like they're like old banks that no longer existed. Like
my mother used to do that too.
Yeah,
she used to keep boxes and boxes of them. I don't know why.
Yeah. 7 years. You need your stuff for 7 years, then ditch it.
Yeah.
So, like she's literally arguing with this person. She, the bank officer is just like, well, we have to take that money and count it and then put it in your account. And then she's like, well, will the government know how much money I have? And the bank officer's like, well, it depends on how much money you have. Like, there's a reporting requirement, blah, 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 because there is. And the lady is just like, well, I'm not going to tell you how much money I have.
You tell me what the limit is, and I'll give you a wink.
Not even that. No, not even that, my friend. No, she refused to tell the bank officer who was opening the account how much money she had. Because she didn't think that young lady needed to know.
Well, she doesn't. You can open the account with like $10 and then turn around and deposit it some other way.
I know, but here's the deal. Like, if you were going to deposit money in the form of mason jars full of quarters, like, somebody's going to have to count them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not that little snot-nosed punk behind the counter, that's for sure.
Right? And so she's literally, like, melting down in the middle of this Bank of America, which I think is, like, the one Bank of America in Albuquerque, and is melting down because she cannot fathom that these people are going to know how much money she has. And we can't let them know how much money we have.
No.
We can't.
No.
And it doesn't matter who the them is.
No. It doesn't matter.
And
It's somebody who's not you.
I was just like, this is gonna be a minute.
Yep.
I can come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Play another day, at least.
Cheers. And this poor woman is just like at the point of pulling her hair out. I'm just like, bye.
I feel bad for that teller. Wow.
But it's a bank and it's people's money, so I guarantee that wasn't the worst she's ever had to deal with. People can get really squirrely about their money, and I understand it too. My father is not a technology person. He does not believe in auto withdrawals or anything. He does not like doing any electronic banking and stuff like that. Like he just doesn't trust it. But so he puts himself in like such a disadvantage to doing things, so his life is more cumbersome than it needs to be. Just because he won't get on board with the fact that this is just the way the world works. And eventually there won't be cash.
It doesn't here. This is the most cash-based economy I have ever seen in my life.
Then my father will be out next month. I'm sending him there. We're kind of done with him anyway, so it's okay.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because I was a good millennial, right? Like I never had cash ever. Right. I was like, what is this nonsense? Yeah. And like I didn't even have a checkbook. because I did everything online.
Right.
I get here and, I'm trying to figure out I was like, okay, so how can I do an automatic debit for rent each month when we were still renting? And the lady's like, what?
What does that mean?
Like, if you have an account number, I can tell my bank that account number, and they will send X amount of dollars in the amount of rent into your account. And she looked at me and she says, but then they'd know how much money I had. And I was just like, I'm done.
They would know her account number.
Yeah.
You would know her account number. Yeah.
So no, I had to open, because first off,
y'all got like a Venmo or something I can send to you, or
no,
PayPal,
some Cash App. What do you got?
None of that was going to happen. Like none of that. I mean, it's not quite the Wild West out here, but like that was an event. So I had to go
like the Wild West out there. I'll be honest with you. It does sound a little Wild West out there. I'll be straight up honest with you.
No,
yeah, you gotta convince me that it's not.
At least you have internet,
Yeah.
Sometimes, like it'll drop at some point. I promise.
No, you've already frozen like 14 times. I can still hear you, but your face just kind of just happens. It's always gonna be like the worst possible. You know what I mean? Like face, like. Oh no!
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
I mean, it's just it's insane. Like it is insane. But again, they're like once you get into it, like they're great people. But it's just, I mean, there's just weirdness. But like there's weirdness everywhere you live. I mean, one of the long running jokes from like the Jumbo Jack Flash episode was when we were like, yeah, it's New York. Clearly, nobody gives a damn. Like if there's this lady getting hauled off in a phone booth.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true, actually.
That's right.
I've seen that.
There's got to be somebody trying to wash the windows. Oh, wash the windows.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it was a different kind of weird than I was prepared for. I have to admit, it really was.
Awesome.
You had dust storms over there?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. We also have a tarantula migration.
Ooh.
Yeah,
and that is as disgusting as you think it is, right. Because you can actually hear them popping as you drive over them.
Oh.
And roadrunners are a thing, and roadrunners are literally the first bird that have sold me on the concept that birds used to be dinosaurs. Because they're terrifying. They're awesome, and I love them, but they are terrifying.
Did he also go big?
The first time I saw a roadrunner like nab another bird and run off with it, I was just like, all right.
I need me an Acme rocket to get the hell out of here.
Right?
Strap my ass to an Acme rocket and shoot off.
No wonder the coyote had to become an engineer.
Yep. Terrifying. Not a great one, but he did.
Baby steps, Marco. Baby
steps.
Right.
I think John Cena is doing a Roadrunner movie.
Oh no.
I don't even know how to know how to talk about that.
I don't know how to process that.
I don't.
It's the movie we didn't know we needed.
Is that really? I mean, because I really sort of feel like this is an Ian Malcolm moment. Like this is we asked if we could, but they never stopped to stop.
We should.
Like, I really feel like that's an Ian Malcolm moment. Like
that has to come around. By the way, that has to come around in this last movie. I know we're getting way off topic, but the new Jurassic World movie that he's got to somehow bring that around and refer to that. I hope so. I hope he does.
If he doesn't, like that's
it's a waste. If it's a waste of time.
I'm sure that whole movie is going to be callback after callback after.
I hope so. I hope to round up the series. I hope so. I hope so.
It should be.
I hope so. So Breaking Bad, with at some point,
30 minutes in, guys. 30 minutes.
30 minutes. 30 minutes.
That happened with our episode last time too.
It totally did. We mentioned the name, I think, once or twice. I can rewind the tape. I'm sure it's on there.
And for everybody,
which is another reference. $5. Anybody? No, okay. I'll come back to it.
For everybody, I'll probably get drunk before we even talk about this.
Marie, how you doing over there?
We might have to take a booze break, Raphael. Leave Marco here singing.
I'll just talk to myself. I've been known to do that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
It's when I lose the argument, it starts to get a little scary.
Well,
So Breaking Bad. That's how I got into Breaking Bad. So like you queued up the trailer, and we're
So I mentioned on your show, Raphael, I got into it at the end of the first half of season 5 when they split the season, and I binge watched season 1 to the end of the first half. And
so why did you decide to start at that point? Like,
it was one of those things where like everybody's like, you have to check out the show. You have to check out the show. I was like, all right, I'll check out the show. Fine, I'll watch it. I watched the first episode. I became hooked, and then I could binge watch it. Now, the first season was a bit slow going, right? It was finding its footing. It was, trying to iron out the story. We know there was some changes, right? Jesse wasn't supposed to make it out of the first season, but then they ended up, the chemistry they had, they kept him throughout the whole series, which I'm happy about.
And didn't it have some censorship issues where they were trying to figure out like what they could and couldn't do on cable television?
Yeah, there was a lot, right? Because even though it's cable, it was AMC, but they only so many swears per episode. But then, of course, the drug references. So one of the major portions of one of the things they had to really do was never show the full process of what it takes to make the meth. So otherwise, it's just a blueprint. You're just teaching people how to do it. Right. So, you see a lot of processes how to do it, but you don't see from A to Z exactly what they have to do to make it.
Which is a terrible idea because meth labs are so dangerous because they are so volatile.
Right. Yeah. So you don't want to give people a blueprint on exactly how to do it because they're just kind of like, oh, that's the way. Great. Let's go for it. And they'll get blamed for it. So, you give them bits and pieces of it. That way nobody can put it together. So I thought they did that very well on the show. They did it. I thought personally they did it skillfully. We did see some of the parts of it, but like I can never reproduce it. I wouldn't know what the hell they're doing, So it was impressive to watch what they did and the different versions, right? From the crystal ship, right? From the RV all the way to the major meth lab to,
But there was never a shake and bake. Like the entire season, there was never a shake and bake.
Did you ever find out what that meant?
No.
Yeah, what is the shake and bake? By the way?
Well, so I lie. I did actually find out. And apparently, like, there's something that you can do with various components in a Coke bottle, and you shake it up, and then, like, the particulate that settles is related somehow to methamphetamines.
Gotcha.
But, I mean, I gotta tell you, like, I went to law school because I don't have any practical skills, and, chemistry is a practical skill.
Sure is. Is. Yes. Otherwise, it's a no eyebrow city for you.
I wonder if there was ever a boost in like people, focusing on chemistry after the show. Like majoring in chemistry.
Yeah, but if there was, it wasn't the right people.
No.
I actually remember talking to some of my friends that were European, and they were really having trouble with with the core concept of Breaking Bad. Because as we mentioned really early, the whole concept is that this guy is turning to meth so that he can, after he dies, his family will be taken care of. And this whole concept, and also like if he pursued treatments or what have you, like, and this whole concept that you would have to that this would your death would bankrupt your family depending on how you died, which is something they could not wrap their heads around. I mean, they're literally calling me up and they're like, so in the US, how does healthcare work? And I'm like, oh honey.
The worst.
No matter what you do, you have to bend over, grab your ankles, and pray to God.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and it just did not compute there because they're like, this is real? And it was hilarious because like everybody in the US that was watching it was like, oh yeah, no, this hellscape is normal.
Yeah.
Right.
Sounds about right, and if I could do that, I would.
Yeah. Right? I mean, it was
gotta get me a new chemistry set, I guess. I don't know.
We're apparently just a 2-liter Coke bottle, my friend. Like, that's what you mean.
Got one of them. I'm good.
Yeah, so it was really funny to me, kind of like coming, because I was sort of like Marco coming into this fairly late, and so I wasn't really I didn't really know what was going on, and so they started explaining to me that this is the concept, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
That's the thing. So, I mean, binge watching it is so different than watching it week to week. I watched, like I said, I binge watched 4.5 seasons or whatever it was, and then it was week to week after that, which is the most infuriating thing once you've binge watched a majority of the show. You're like, shit, now I gotta wait for the next episode. But it's a little less mentally stressing and stressful than when you have to wait. You can wait a week, like, okay, I got a week to digest what the hell I just saw. Even though I'm on the edge of my seat because I want to see, they always leave it at the cliffhanger. I want to see what happens next. Like,
and that was what I was going to say, is that like I had to pace it. Like I could not binge it. It was not one of those where I'm going to sit down and watch like 60. This was not Lucifer, right? Like, I mean, I'm going to watch like all like an entire season of Lucifer because Tom Ellis is charming. Like, Breaking Bad was one of those where I had to pace myself and I had to be like, all right, I'm going to go take a shower and wash that horror off of me. And think about it. It
ran from 2008 to 2013. It had 62 episodes altogether.
I never did the binge on that because I always felt like, that anticipation for every episode just got me more excited to watch the next episode every time.
Basically you were edging yourself with respect to Breaking Bad.
Yeah. And we went there. Good, we got there. All right.
Raphael told us so much about himself.
85 minutes in, we got there. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's got to be some kind of a record.
You knew what you were getting into when you invited me back.
I knew it, and hence why we did it. So, does anybody want to watch the original trailers?
Make poor life choices so you don't have to.
All right, let's watch the first season trailer. The first season to me was not the strongest of all the seasons. Well, let's give it a shot and see if this works. You know how I go around here. Share screen. Let's do the window. Chrome tab. There we go.
Process.
I always have to. Otherwise, just dead air.
Oh, hey, look. No commercials now. Awesome.
No, I got that one taken care of.
Happy birthday. So, let the flood be old.
Chemistry. It is the study of change. It is growth, then decay, then transformation. What? We love you, man. We love you. Everybody, the wall!
You understood what I just said to you. Yes. Lung cancer. You're not going to.
A substantial amount of methamphetamine taken off the streets.
Hey, how much money is that?
It's about $700,000. It's easy money. Why don't you say the word and take you on a ride? Why just knock down a meth lab?
I'm thinking if you and I could partner up. You know the business. And I know the chemistry.
You want to cook crystal meth? Cooking is art.
It's just basic chemistry.
So straight like you just gonna break that? What's up with wild lately? Tell me why you're doing this.
I am awake. There are going to be some things that you're comfortable about. I just want you to know that no matter how it may look, I only have you in my heart.
Run! It's the right run! Get a little excitement in your life.
Something.
Oh, there you have it. Season 1. I thought that was a good introduction to the show. I never got to see that originally because it wasn't really on my radar.
Right.
When it first came around.
I gotta say, Bryan Cranston looks really good bald.
He looks better bald than he did with hair in the first season. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, certainly more menacing.
The immigrant thing was his idea, right?
Was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was not something that the showrunner had in mind, and it was just one of those where, like, all of a sudden he looks over and Cranston's in his tidy whities, and they're like,
and really loose tidy whities. Like, he needed a better fit. he had some saggy pants happening on that show. Not that I was really looking. I was not really looking. I'm just saying.
I mean, let's just say he'd had those for a while.
Yes. Yes. I mean, God damn it, man. Get some boxer briefs or something. Really? How
All
old
right.
are you? How old are you? Tidy whiteys.
Well, I think they made a pop out of that, or did they not?
Oh, there's a million pops, and they're actually really expensive.
So can we talk about the fact that you literally don't have one of those like right now?
So here's my problem. Here's where Marco kicks himself in the head. I had many of them when they first came out. I went to conventions and I had a lot of the original. I had the Saul, I had the Jesse, I don't remember if I had any of the convention exclusive ones, but I had some really good ones. And
because
a lot of them are worth
like,
a lot of money now.
And not actually staring at Marco and like the wall of Funko Pops.
Oh,
Marco
that's
has
nothing.
a pop problem.
That's just a small portion of my 442 that I have currently. That's just a minor scratch of them. But so at one point, I was with my ex-wife, and then we broke up, and I was kind of like, all right, I have a big amount of collectibles. I had a ton of the Hot Toys, expensive figures, the 112, and I was like, I'm going to start dating again. This is going to be awkward. So I sold a lot of it because like my apartment's, it's pretty normal looking. It's pretty well decorated until you get to the spare room and it's just 2 IKEA glass cases full of Hot Toys and a shelf of pop figures and statues. I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to go well. Let's normalize this a little bit. So I sold them all. I eBayed the shit out of everything, including most of my pop figures, including all my Breaking Bad ones. And now I regret it. Because
those are probably worth a lot now, right?
They are, especially the convention exclusive ones, like the one that's Walter White and he's completely blue crystal. Like he looks like blue meth. He's worth a few $100s. The Jesse was all beat up. What's that?
That was New York.
I think that was the New York convention exclusive, yeah. And then the Jesse one where he's like all beat up in the meth suit. That's a really expensive one. I think that was a San Diego exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, they get up there because they're older. They're some of the original stuff. They still had that sort of original body style where the arms just kind of came down, the legs were bowed out. They all kind of follow that original Funko style where now a lot of them, the body is whatever they want it to be. You know, it's more natural.
The lesson here is you take that geek flag and you fly it proudly.
And that's what I've learned to do. So that was a lesson. That wasn't even my biggest lesson. My biggest fly your geek flag lesson was when I sold my 66 Batman Funko signed by Adam West for like $50 because he signed it to Michael, not Marco, at a convention. And I was like, what am I going to do with this shit? So I sold it. This is way before like Pops really became expensive. And I just sold it because I'm like, I'm not Michael. And the guy like from one of the comic shops had an employee named Michael. So he bought it for what I paid for the pop plus the signature. That's worth about $3,000 to $5,000 right now because Adam West passed away, right? So there are no more coming. There are no more signatures coming. So yeah, so that was a big kick in the pants. Like, well, that's, you can't cry over spilled milk. It's in the past, but shit.
But also you can grieve.
I grieve. I have been grieving a little bit. It's a big, it's a big, let's say $3,000 loss at least.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy though, right? I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. I mean, because I recently got back into Lego, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was just like, you realize that Lego is a better investment than gold, right?
Yeah, it is. I've seen that. Yeah.
Like I'm working on the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol building set right now, and we bought it for I don't know $99 at a Target one day, and I was like, this is really expensive. I mean, it's only been out, I don't know, 3-4 years now, and it discontinued 2 years ago, and it's doubled in value.
So my question is, because I've seen this before, like even in the local comic book shop that I go to, they sell put together Lego sets. Like, so they go, somebody put it together, they put together the Millennium Falcon, here, buy the set. And they sell for big money, but I'm like, doesn't that suck the entire joy out of Lego? Isn't the purpose of Lego is to build it yourself? It's already built. Like, there's nothing else you can really.
I mean, because
there's nothing else you can really do with Lego. Like, you build it. You can't take like the Millennium Falcon and fly it around unless you glue it together. It's just going to fall apart.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's not like a playable toy.
Although, let's be real. I currently have a TIE fighter sitting on my desk, and it shoots these amazing little dart things.
But if you grabbed it by, let's say, the main compartment and started flying it around, wouldn't the wings just kind of fall off eventually if you nick something?
Oh wow,
right.
That's nice.
But if you start flying it around and nick something or bang the wing against something, wouldn't it just fly off? No, that's pretty well built. Did you glue that?
She didn't glue it, did she?
Did not.
No.
Did not.
You didn't Will Ferrell that thing.
You shut it.
Oh, great.
Look, a wing fell off. Look, a wing fell off, and that makes it less playable. Now, I had back in the day. I had one of the original Kenner TIE fighters where you had like the little buttons and it shot the wings off. It was spring loaded and they shot off. Like, it got blown up and you'll fly around, you hit the little buttons and the wings shoot off.
That's probably like 10,000 now.
Yeah, those are really expensive. If you get like a good one in the box, oh yeah,
yeah,
that stuff's big money, big money. So yeah, so that's my pop figure trauma story. As I sold a bunch of mine. I definitely had some original pops I wish I had back, like one of the original Batman, Superman in the box, and I just sold them. I kept the boxes as I do because I'm an inbox collector, so I keep all my stuff in boxes. I have a few that are out of box, but I've replaced them with box versions. Because I like the box.
We had one of the original Hasbro Voltron models.
Oh,
me too.
Yeah, I haven't looked that up, but I can
cat,
tell
right?
you
Not the car, right? The cat ones.
The cat ones, yeah, because the car was lame.
It was like a redhead stepchild. Yeah, no, it was bad.
Yeah.
No. I'm a lion purist. Thank you very much.
The car
I got the car one by accident, and I was like so pissed off. Like, why did you get this for me on my birthday?
The car one was like the cousin Oliver of Voltron toys. Like,
right?
Who the fuck needs this? What a waste!
Like, why would you do that? Because like
nobody needs this.
Were such a great concept, but I will tell you that the Lego, like where all of this new Lego fascination started, was actually when the twins were born. And we were doing like midnight feedings or whatever. Like my husband got me the Lego Voltron set that does actually transform. It's pretty legit.
Yeah.
And I remember our home visitor would come in, and the home visitor would be like, "Oh, that's nice. Your husband's into Lego," and I'm like, "No." The giant Lego robot is mine.
That's the thing. Like I said, when I got separated,
it was like $180 when he first got it, and that was 3 years ago, and it's like $400 now.
No,
yeah,
which is not like your $3,000 like pop issue.
No,
signed by anybody. It's not like,
but still. Still, I had some Hot Toy figures that are worth a lot more now than they were. I had an Adam West and Burt Ward Batman and Robin, not signed or anything like that, but I bought them like off the shelf from Sideshow Collectibles at the whatever $149. You can't touch a Batman for under $600 now. If you go to eBay or wherever, you can't touch him for under $600. A brand new in the box. Yeah, and they had a hard time. Like I remember those things were on like special for whatever reason. Before he passed away, before they discontinued it, those were on the shelf for a long time. Like Sideshow had a hard time getting rid of the Batman and Robin, and I had them both, and set them all up, and loved to look at them, and I sold them. And I'm like, shit, I would love to get those back, but I really don't want to spend $600 to get the Adam West. I had so many of them. I had a Storm Shadow.
This right here is why Marco is going to break bad.
Yeah, pretty much because I didn't get some of my collectibles back. Because eventually, we're saving for a house. We'll have the house. I'll have my man cave, my podcasting room, and a wall of pops. A wall of pops is going to have to be to get them all up there. But we discussed it. We'll try to figure out how many a wall can hold, and that'll be it. And I'll sell off the ones I don't want that don't fit, and then if they're ones that come out that I want, I'll have to decide. Because at some point, where do you put them? Right now, they're in storage, and it's killing me.
I had a feeling you had it in storage. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have about 8 of those big long tubs, just completely and I like Tetrised them, like figured out the exact way to maximize as many as I could get into a tub as possible, and it's killing me.
What about your comics?
So I don't have a lot. I have a lot of digital. I used to have like more paper ones, but then I ended up selling them. And I have a few, like they came out with the 89 Batman and 78 Superman series. I have those in paper form. Again, it's a space issue. Like I don't have time or space for white long boxes. I just don't. You know what I mean? Who has that?
The thing about it is they don't appreciate nearly as well as they used to.
No, especially now. If it's not a golden age or early silver age, it's not really worth it. Anything 80s and beyond, forget it. Unless it's a super special, the death of Superman
I have been hauling my full collection of the boys. Funnily enough,
now if you have like a Walking Dead #1 in mint, you're looking at a good, the $7,000 to $8,000 to $12,000. Because it was a super short print run. Like the first Ninja Turtle one. It's a super short print run. So if you got one of those, you're looking good.
Does anybody else remember how dark the Ninja Turtle comic was?
Yeah, they were dark.
Black and white and gritty.
Yeah, no, I mean it was like it was just like deadly.
And it was modeled after Daredevil. It was modeled after the Frank Miller Daredevil series. So and they really went dark with it.
Speaking of Ninja Turtles, that was my bane of existence in high school. Everybody just kept making fun of me because my name was Raphael.
Yeah.
Fair play. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Where's Michelangelo? Where's Donatello?
Try going to a swimming pool with my name.
Oh.
Every jackass is calling you. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What do you want?
No. I just get jackasses who literally get it wrong on purpose. Like Mary, Maria. I get Maria a lot.
That happened on one of the other podcasts we were on, whose name shall not be mentioned. That happened. I was like, do you not know the person's name? It's written right there in front of you.
Yeah.
It was written there. Like the name tag, like it is now, was there. Like you didn't bother to check? Nothing?
Nope.
No? I have very little tolerance for people who do that. Very little.
Again, we got an amazing friendship out of that, and we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Yeah. So anyway, Breaking Bad, a wonderful little show.
I'm about to break bad right now.
There's like an awkward moment. Like, okay, now we're going to talk about what we actually came on to talk about.
Yes. What are we here for? Oh, yes, Breaking Bad. So, and funny enough, here's another tangent. I was listening to our show on Jumping Jack Flash, and at one point we referenced Demolition Man. And in my head, I'm like, oh, we should have said we should actually do a show on Demolition Man. We already have, but we really didn't.
Yeah.
But we really did. I think we had that 2
I'm
hours.
holding you to Tango and Cash, my dude.
It was 2 hours. It was over 2 hours. I think we spent 10 minutes on.
You should do Tango and Cash. Actually,
we're going to.
Yeah, like for sure.
I like that Demolition Man episode you guys did. That was great.
Which Demolition Man episode? You're gonna have to be more specific.
Oh God! And Princess Bride hasn't even aired yet.
No, that's coming out soon. I have a bunch of stuff in the bank I'm kind of happy about. And we have another long day of podcasting coming up soon. So I got a bunch of stuff in the bank. I feel good.
Galaxy Quest?
I got Galaxy Quest. I have my Batman animated series one that I did. Yeah, I have a bunch of stuff in the bank that I'm looking forward to releasing. So it's nice to have like some backup just in case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're about to have to start remaking them again or making content because like after the first contact thing, like we just had so much built up because that we put on hold because we were doing that whole week-long first contact thing.
Yeah.
And now we're like, it's been nice. Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. I love my Shark's Delight family more than I can express, but I was just like, also, I have evenings again.
Yes. There is that. We have at least 6. I think I have at least 6 episodes left to post that I have to do. So, I'm excited. This weekend I have to interview that gentleman, Jack Gallagher. Yeah. I'm excited about that. That should be good on Saturday. Still a little nervous, but should be a good time. Should be fun.
I was saying that you should do Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, we should do that one at some point. You're right in Marie's wheelhouse there.
You know they're bringing it back actually to the big screen.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the major anniversaries for Wrath of Khan, and so they're doing a whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, good.
While there, like Shat was traveling with it and would attend showings.
The Shat,
which apparently
he does not like to be called.
Break my heart.
He's not a big fan of
I'm
that.
surprised they haven't had Shatner do a cameo in one of the Halloween movies yet.
I know. No,
They got to at least before he goes.
Great guys.
Raphael's putting him in the grave already. How's he feeling? Put a mirror under his nose. How's he doing? Is he okay?
No, that would make it even better. That would make it even better. Like, that was one of the few really good gags in Coming to America 2. It was when we did the whole thing with James Earl Jones.
Yes. Yes, that movie was a trip. We haven't talked about that one yet. We'll have to do that.
We have not. And, that's one of those, there was such a good thought behind it, but, like, there was so much, like, did you not run this by anybody?
Not really. Not really. He just kind of said, "This is what we're gonna go with." Everybody said, "Okay, thank you, Eddie. I get paid, Eddie. Okay, thank you, Eddie."
Right.
That's pretty much how that one went.
Yeah.
So Breaking Bad, it's still one of my favorite shows. Let's talk about some of the characters in the show for at least a minute and a half, and let's see how this goes. Who is your favorite character and least favorite character in the show?
Okay.
And why? You can't just say, "Oh, I like Gus."
That's my
That's Marie impression, by the way. That's all I got.
Right.
There it is.
My favorite character has got to be Giancarlo Esposito's character.
Yeah.
I can come up with because again, it was just that first real exposure to the beautiful way he projected menace.
Right.
Quiet menace.
In a show that is an exploration of evil as a concept, and how you can be pushed and pulled and make what you think are good choices that are not bad, that are not good choices, or choosing lesser evils that are still evils. Right? He was just unequivocally evil,
even for evil's sake.
Yeah, right. There was no getting around it, and he was unapologetic about it, and I just loved that about his character. It just went with it. My least favorite character was the wife.
Oh God,
Skylar, really?
Yeah,
I didn't like Skylar either. No.
Why? Why do we not like Skylar?
She was just
wasn't
so
my favorite either, but
she was frustrating, and I don't really think that I think the problem with Skylar was they didn't know what to do with her, and they never knew what to do with her. Right? Like, everybody eventually they sort of figure out like what they're going to do. Yeah. But like, Skylar either had to be functionally stupid in order to not know that Walter was up to no good, right? I mean, and just the conceit of the show meant that, right, she was caught in this weird limbo where, she had to be willfully stupid and blind, but on the other hand, like, we had to come close to figuring things out to create drama, and then we do figure things out, and we have to have drama there, and it just never quite.
And then she cheated on him and stuff like that.
There's that. Yeah. There's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think, and again, but I think that the cheating didn't really make sense.
No,
either.
That just made me hate her more.
And that was really the problem. Is I just don't think they knew how to handle that character and what to do with that character.
Yeah.
Because even Walter's decision, right, initial decision, even though it's theoretically to provide for his wife and child, we don't know why. Like, she's not she's not a likable character, especially. Like, she doesn't seem to be particularly invested in him. He's not really invested in her. And I think part of it also was the fact that, like, the two actors had, like, Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman levels of chemistry, which is to say, like, it was a fucking void.
Yeah.
I think Walter was mostly doing it for his kids, though.
And the kid, right? Like, he was a really fantastic find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he was a really fantastic find. And of course, I'm blanking on his name because, I'm old.
Because you're old. That's awesome. So R.J. Mitty played Walter White Jr.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was a great find.
he had that physical, like
Yeah, he was a CP.
Yeah.
And that's
not
right?
Not, I think, he's not, if I'm mistaken, not to the degree they portrayed it on the show in real life, but he does actually have that, yes.
Right.
Yeah,
They played it up for the show to make it more noticeable and more, if you want to say, just more to have more sympathy.
Right.
Yeah, but what's also interesting about it is that like they ultimately don't let that be his character.
Exactly. Yeah.
He turns a lot stronger at the end when he tries to defend his mother from him, and he steps up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, he had a real arc, and again, I think initially, right, like these.
But he was super whiny in the beginning. He was the Luke Skywalker.
A teenager,
Oh my God, was he whiny?
Raphael's
got a point here. Like,
yeah, he's a teenager.
I remember Teenage Marie, and it was, and I really wish I didn't.
Yeah.
Because Teenage Marie was pretty terrible. I mean, 40-year-old Marie is also pretty terrible, but like at least entertainingly so. Teenage Marie was not.
Not entertaining at all.
No. No.
Yeah, I've always been entertaining. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
I had an older brother to reflect on and go, yeah, I don't want to do that. No, I'm not going to be. I'm not. He gets yelled at a lot. I'm going to go the other way. I'm not going to take the Mercedes out and drive around the block and put it in the garage and scratch it. I am not going to have like friends over when parents are away and have a drinking party and drink all the beer, all of it in the coolers, and think my parents aren't going to notice.
I mean,
as people were sleeping in my parents' bed, and there's like matches and stuff in the sink. Like, yeah, you're really good at cleaning this up. You're really good.
I used to drink the liquor and pour water in it to fill it back up.
See, my brother was not that bright. He would not even gone that far. He just drank the liquor. Drank the liquor.
He's like, why is it so watered down? You know,
got gypped. You got gypped to the store. I take it back. I take it back to the store and kick their ass, Dad. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, so this is also a problem of growing up in a household where nobody drank clear liquor. Like, there's no way to do that.
There's always ways to do it, Marie. You gotta think ahead. Some apple juice, something. Water down some apple juice. Do something.
My friend, again, believe me, when you open that up, you're gonna know that's apple juice. You're just gonna know.
But you can't drink all the liquor out of it. It's still gonna smell like the liquor.
No. You just take a little bit.
Yeah. And then put a little apple juice in there. And that's it. The liquor will kill the apple juice smell. I've told you, I'm really craftier than I need to be because I'm not that sneaky of a person. But I'm super crafty at shit like this. But yet I don't use it for anything. I use it for good, not evil.
Right. This is the whole like birthday party thing. Like stirring them in with lightsabers.
That's right. Yep. So, all right. So, Marie, you told us who your favorite and least favorite were. Raphael, did you tell her? I know you said you didn't like Skylar.
I would agree with her on Skylar. Yeah.
Who was your favorite?
I also didn't like Marie.
Oh, Marie was interminable.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. Her and her purple.
Good that Lord, whole like klepto phase of her just came out of nowhere. You know?
It really did. Like I could almost see why, like, if Skylar turned to that kind of snapped and did it. But like, what was the point? Like, what was going on in Marie's life?
Yeah,
that made her snap. Like, what was it with there was nothing stressful necessarily in her life that went that way and kind of made her snap to start doing that.
The writers didn't know what to do. They just came up with that.
With the writer's strike?
It may have.
Maybe.
It may have. We'll call that a janitor writing. Is that guy cleaning up the toilets? Does he have anything to say about this show?
Right.
Let's let him write a couple of pages.
Yeah,
I need 5 pages by morning.
So, like some of the seasons and some of the episodes were incredibly tight, but, even looking back at it and loving the show, there was a lot of stuff that got embroidered that really needed to be.
Right.
We've been talking
I heard that they were, AMC was forcing, the creator to actually stretch out the show for 2 more seasons, and he didn't want to do that.
Yeah. Because we've been like over at Truckers Delight, we've been talking about Picard, right? And Picard has like this 10 episode season, and we've been talking about like, are there, in one of the episodes, 2 of 1 was really short. It was like 36 minutes long. Yeah. And when everything else has been, 42, 45. And I actually fall into the camp of it was a really good idea to cut it when they did, because they weren't adding anything extraneous.
Right.
And so you didn't have to worry about like useless embroidery. And because, in a 10 episode season, you don't have time for that. You really just don't have that.
Yeah.
No.
They've done that with The Mandalorian too. Like some episodes are like 30 minutes, some are like
Boba Fett was just a brief pamphlet of a show. Every episode.
I mean, on your recommendation, I have not seen this, but we forget, I think, because it's been so long, since we've had these shows, right? Like how long a season really was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're talking about 62. Like, what was it? 62 episodes.
62 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like 20 some odd, like every year, and that's. I mean, and that was grueling, and trying to come up like with and it's a weekly show, right? Like, so you had to come up with enough material to fill the airtime, because that's the other thing with the advent of streaming, right? Like,
well, I mean, like, the seasons were like 13 episodes long.
Yeah, it's not like a regular network show that has like 24 episodes.
Yeah, it was only 13 at best. That turned 13 episodes, so not that much more than a Picard. I mean, certainly more than a Mandalorian or Boba Fett. And certainly more than a Moon Knight, which only has 6.
Next Gen used to do like over like 20 episodes, right? Every season.
Yeah, so it's there. They did them.
I mean, we just don't really like remember what that was.
Sure,
exactly.
Like current prestige television has shifted to a much more European style model where you have like these capsule shows.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, like, I mean, there were some definite like plot things where you were just like, why?
Yeah.
And did we ever care about Marie anyway? Like,
not really.
No.
I mean, honestly, he could have been single and it wouldn't have made a difference. But he was the brother-in-law, so you had to. I
always felt like Hank would be the type of guy that would cheat.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of sketchball. Like, he really.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. They needed a way to get this guy into the show, and as sketchball as he was, I thought he was fantastic.
Right, because Skylar had to confide in Marie, but if let's say they made Hank her brother, then it would have been very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because those conversations would never happen, between siblings.
Right, like, the separation of brother-in-law.
They used pillow talk a lot as, just as a plot driver.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
but as for my favorite character was probably Mike.
Mike Ehrmantraut, it's definitely on my list. I would have to go with that too. I loved him in Breaking Bad. I love him in Better Call Saul. That no nonsense, deadpan, a dead eye look. He just gets in there, takes care of business, and just shut up and let's get this done. I love that attitude.
Yeah,
I love the way they play him. We talked about that on your show. Watching him in the first season, I saw when you see him in there, I'm like, who is this guy? I know this face.
Yeah, and I think he's probably more famous now than he ever was in his early career.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, one of the number 1 rated shows of all time, and remembering him back from his Beverly Hills Cop days and things like that. It's like, wow, that is the same dude. He looks so different.
Wasn't he also in an episode of Star Trek or a movie or something?
He pops up.
He looks like he could have been a Ferengi or something. I don't know.
Do you remember the actor's name?
Jonathan Banks. Jonathan Banks.
It's not ringing any bells, but let's ask Memory Alpha. Let us ask the internet.
For some reason, he reminds me of Ferengi or something,
I mean, he had.
Oh no! Yeah. This guy. You were right, but he's not a Ferengi. It is a Deep Space Nine episode, and I mean, he's actually in a couple, but like the big one that he was in was a Deep Space Nine episode where like Bashir and everybody end up on this planet with Kaiopaka. They end up on this planet, and you can't.
Was he an alien?
Yeah, he was an alien. But he was like there were these two warring groups, and you couldn't die, right? I mean, that was the punishment was that you would relive this war that was going on over and over and over again, and like they've been killing each other for something like 700 years.
I know I saw him sometime.
Yeah. I mean, his IMDb list is pretty long. He's been in a lot of stuff.
He's one of those character actors that's just like ridiculous.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff you don't even, you don't remember. You're like, oh shit, yeah, he was in that. Like you go back and you watch, like, yeah, he was.
Also, I'm not gonna lie, like, he is currently. If you see a current picture of him, he is terrifying.
Yeah, he does look like he's got like that murdering resting face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He looks like
if he ain't smiling, he could kill your whole family, including the dog.
He's the first old guy that I'm scared of. He's gonna beat me up.
I mean, he looks like a more normalized version of that guy from the Goonies.
Yeah, Sloth. He's even eye Sloth. Yeah. With a full set of teeth. That's great. The ears are still more sloth-like, though.
Right.
Kind of like
very leathery skin.
And then add more serial killer.
He moisturizes a lot.
No, he's got skin like a cow's backside. Are you kidding me? Forget it. Awful.
Sunblock guy.
Yeah.
Bill Burr said that like white people have not figured out about like lotion, sunblock. Like why do we're just pasty and you hold the arm up and you see like smoke coming up as you're rippling it across, you're just flaking left, right, and center. Yeah, it's one of my favorite Bill Burr skits. He goes off on that.
I have a permanent shine on my skin all the time. I don't know why.
Yes.
Yeah, well, look at it. It means that you were not going to age until like you're going to wake up one day and be.
Don't worry, I'll pop this into production into Photoshop or to Adobe Premiere and get rid of the shine off you. A little pre-production on you. We'll tone that down a little. Marie, you gonna get yourself a little color. I'll take that. Put a little sepia tone on you there, Marie.
Don't go too much. You don't want to give her a black face.
No.
No.
You might get in trouble for that.
Yeah. No, we're gonna make it tasteful.
Yeah.
No. This is an ongoing thing. This is an ongoing problem. Like, there's a set location that I can put my face where, like, I'm not reflective. That's it. It's awful. Oh my god! Like, William is constantly like, everybody, not Marie, but everybody needs to face the ring light so that it lights you. Not Marie. Just like thanks, William.
Marie, stand behind it with your face in it.
It's about what it is. It's about what it is.
Pretty much. All right, so let's talk favorite episodes. What was your favorite? Talk to me some of your favorite episodes of the series.
Oh shit!
I know.
I like the one
I'm
with
going
the
deep. The Fly.
The Fly.
The Fly episode. So that's one of the things we'll get into that because that's a great episode. But I just want to say that in the show with 62 episodes, it really didn't feel like there were any filler episodes. Right? We're like, that was great. Didn't really move the story along. Like it was constant
elements, right? That didn't work. And that just be added, and then you were just like
a couple of storylines, the Marie stuff, things like that. But overall, even the episodes with her in it, the other stuff that went on, the A story and whatever was strong. You know what I mean?
They know how to do cliffhangers, man. Really?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, between shows and seasons, and So
there were times where I'm like, okay, no way that person's gonna live. No way.
Yeah. Oh my god. So I think Breaking Bad was one of those first sort of like fandom collective experiences, where like you're right, there were articles like speculating in like actual publications like the New York Times speculating on what was going to happen. And before Breaking Bad, that wasn't a thing.
Right.
Really. Unless you were like not on that scale, right?
Right.
And we don't see that, and we don't see that scale again, I'd argue, until Game of Thrones.
I would say so. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. And AMC had their Breaking Bad talk with Chris Hardwick, right?
Right.
Talking
But
Bad.
that
They
started
did talking.
during the Walking Dead stuff.
Yeah, they
And
did talking
that-
The Walking Dead or Talking Dead, and they started doing Talking Bad.
Yeah.
I missed
So
a
I
lot
gotta
of that.
admit, actually, we rag on season 1, but I really think one of my favorite episodes was actually the one where they have to dissolve the body.
Oh yes, that's a good one. Yeah.
And it's not even necessarily that it was an excellent episode, because there were significantly better episodes later on, obviously.
Yeah.
Is that the one where they dissolve the body in the bathtub? And the bathtub
Yeah, the bathtub falls through. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just ridiculously funny and also awful all at the same time.
Exactly.
So gross, but funny.
For me, that episode encapsulates what Breaking Bad was, in the sense that it's this objectively taken, it is horrible. The shit that is going on is just is awful and traumatic and terrible, and yet it's funny.
Yes.
Yeah, and they do that many times on the show. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you have these two guys who are bumbling through this whole thing.
Yeah, badly.
Especially in the beginning, right? They have no clue what they're doing.
And I think Saul does the same thing
shit and come up like roses. They keep falling down and keep coming up smelling like roses somehow. You know what I mean?
They're lucky sometimes.
Other than Jesse, who gets beat up every season.
Every single time,
every season gets the shit kicked out of him at least once, if not twice.
Ultimately, they don't end up right. Nobody really ends up smelling like a rose, because that was the entire point, right? Of the show. Yeah. Showrunners were very clear that this was not a redemption arc; that this was, in fact, this exploration of evil and bad choices, bad decision making, and all of this. And of course, and that is why Walter White ends up in. I think you can make a real argument about how Walter White ends up versus Heisenberg, and whether or not Heisenberg completely subsumes Walter White by the end of it.
Yeah. And I think and of course there's always that school of thought, is he really dead? By the end of it, I think
it's really important to be dead. I really think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. It doesn't mean much. It's kind of like if they brought Tony Stark back with Robert Downey. It doesn't. His death means nothing. If you do that, you know what I mean? Even if it's a multiverse version of him, it just means nothing. So you have to have that. Yeah, you have to have that ending with him. But the way he went out, and it's still, and I'll say this 100 times, it is my favorite series finale of any series. And there's been some great series finales, but that's still one of the strongest, because one of the things it does great is it ties up pretty much everything.
Yes.
Any loose threads that you cared about, there might have been, you could probably make an argument for one or two of them, but they're not noticeable. You don't really care.
I really think that was really important, is that they were able to identify the threads that we gave a shit about. And not every show does.
And you find out what happens to pretty much everybody you need to know about. What Badger and Skinny Pete are doing. So these secondary characters, if you didn't know, it's kind of like, I wish I knew what they were up to, but we don't really need to know. But it's still a good way they pulled them back in the final episodes.
Yeah.
That was important.
And that's kind of a masterclass in how to wrap up a series.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the top best series finales, I think.
I mean, it was a satisfying experience. Admittedly, my low bar is forever going to be Quantum Leap. But
oh man, I'm still pissed off about that one.
Yeah, all these decades later, we're still pissy about that.
I hope that reboot fixes it or something. I don't know, addresses it.
I don't even know how to feel about this reboot concept, guys. I don't know how to feel about it.
I don't either. I mean, I can get behind a reboot sometimes if it's good. It's a good reboot. If they do well with it, they're not going to bring, obviously, Dean Stockwell, rest in peace, he's gone, so you can't really drag him out. You can't really drag him out and go, start hitting the thing again, start hitting the buzzer again. You can't have him doing anything, so you got to always banging that thing.
I know. Ziggy!
He's always hitting that fucking remote. So, you can't do that again. Scott Bakula. If they do a reboot and it's somebody different, I would love to see Scott Bakula do a cameo or something like that, kind of a nod, kind of a generations handoff.
Yeah, a couple of years there was. I think the original script was going to be the Scott Bakula's character's daughter went inside the quantum leap to look for her dad.
Yeah, and that I can get behind that if they bring somebody good in to do it, somebody compelling enough to do it.
And it would be interesting if it was a female,
Like, the thing about it is that, like, a Quantum Leap occupies a science fiction version of, like, Touched by an Angel. Like, that
last season.
I'm serious about that. Like, that's really what it was. Like, are we in a space where we could do that anymore? Like, as a society, like, are we in a space where we're really, like, we're ready for that level of wholesome?
Oh, we need it, but I don't know if we're ready for it.
Do we have anything wholesome right now? We don't have anything wholesome.
Certainly not if you take the subject of this show, which is what again? So,
I mean, here we are, but I think
one of the least wholesome shows ever.
But I think that's a valid question. Like, are we in a space where we as a society can accept wholesome? I mean, we came close, I think, with the original Wonder Woman film. Like, not 1984, because that was awful.
That happened at us.
I can show you on the doll where it touched me.
Exactly. It wasn't pretty, and I'm still upset.
Yeah. No. Like, that was the movie that hijacked my TV and would not let it go.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Like, why would you put Pedro Pascal in that? Like, why?
Well, I mean, and I like him. I just think they did horrible by that character.
Yeah.
It was just chock full of bad writing, bad concept, and bad directing.
Yeah. And then Chris Pine was clearly phoning it in.
Oh, yeah.
It was a paycheck role. That's definitely what it was.
But the concept of the character is like he's inhabiting another person's body and she's trying to make with him.
Right.
Like, you're not making with Steve, you're making with this other dude's body. Like, this, it's creepy.
There's so many other ways they could have gone with that story. I don't know why they went with that.
And I'm also so bitter about what they did with Kristen Wiig, because I thought she did an amazing job.
That was a horrible thing they did.
Yeah, she did the best thing she could.
Yeah,
she was like a female Riddler from Batman Forever.
Awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do, but I think that's really the last time that I felt of anything was like really, really super wholesome. Because I mean, obviously, the Warner Brothers DC version of Superman, not wholesome.
No, he's a big emo dork. But like,
seriously, I'm like, when you were.
And I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I just don't like what they did with the character.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I think they should give him one more chance.
We'll see what happens.
At this point, I don't know that he'd want to go back. And like,
he said he wants to do it again. He wants to keep doing it, but they need better stuff with him.
Right.
It
was embarrassing that they had him.
He's moving from Witcher to Mass Effect. Like, dude's booked.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I am looking forward to seeing what he does as Shepard, though.
Yeah. This whole Discovery merger, we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, he's going to be Shepard?
I think so.
I
mean, I cannot. Let's be real. I cannot imagine you booking Henry Cavill as a regular on your series and not making him the lead.
I always played as female Shepard, though, when I played.
I mean, so did I, but that has a totally different kettle of fish. But I don't think we're going to get a female Shepard, guys.
No.
But yeah, like, I mean, I am trying to think of like something that's just like unreservedly wholesome.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Shazam.
I mean, Star Trek Discovery has moments that are wholesome, right? Like the deeper meaning, like the deeper like message that it's trying to convey is wholesome. But I don't necessarily know that how it gets there is always wholesome. Like in the sense, because Quantum Leap really was like, oh my god. I still remember those episodes.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember that? And when he would, like, there's this one where he jumps into the older black lady.
Yep.
Yes.
And
wasn't it Rosa Parks?
It
wasn't Rosa Parks, right?
It wasn't Rosa Parks, no.
Oh,
and it was in that era. But it was about a murder, and like this one lady had basically been brainwashed. And again, I remember this, right? I watched this as a kid. This one lady had been brainwashed by a man in power who had done something terrible by basically promising that if she told anybody, then she would go to hell, and she was convinced that was true. And he had to like go through the Bible and come up with ways to convince her otherwise.
Yeah.
There was another one where he ended up in the body of this woman who was like constantly harassed by this guy, and then you remember like the kick in the nuts like speech.
Yes.
And they did some weird ones where he was like Dracula, I think, one time.
Oh yeah, that was
It was a couple of Jump the Shark episodes, but it was on for a while.
Does anybody else remember like the archaeological craziness of MacGyver? Speaking of jumping.
Oh man, I love classic MacGyver. I still watch that.
I was never a MacGyver person.
Oh, dude, MacGyver was fantastic. And then it kind of like, so you remember when Sequest went to space and you were just like, what? Right.
Yeah.
Well, MacGyver has that, but MacGyver has that with magic, and you're just like, this is.
Didn't he fight a Bigfoot one time, or was that a different show?
I don't remember if it was Bigfoot, but I know for sure he found like that giant. The
Hulk fought Bigfoot on the Lou Ferrigno one, yeah.
Oh no, that was Bionic Man fought Bigfoot.
That's right, That's right. Bionic Man did. It was Andre the Giant in the Bigfoot outfit. Knew it was.
Yeah, no, I mean, just. Those were Jump the Shark episodes, but like by and large, though, Quantum Leap didn't. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen Quantum Leap in a million years, so it could be like.
But it definitely had one of the worst endings.
Right.
It was like the most unsatisfying. He's gonna keep leaping. Hope you liked watching. Fuck off. Like, oh.
It was because the show got canceled, right? And like they didn't.
Yeah, send him home. Send his ass home.
No, and they weren't going to do that. They weren't going to do that because they were sticking it to the network, and it was one of those things where it's like you're not actually sticking it to the network. The network doesn't care. You're sticking it to us.
They have their money. You're sticking to the fans. Yeah,
the people who've been watching this forever and ever, right? Like that.
Yeah, and Lost did the same thing.
Yeah,
Lost did the same. Yeah. Bro, Lost did the same. In the last season and a half, it did that, but then you hit the final episodes, like, and they tied up like nothing. Like Lost, like really kind of solidified. Like there was a lot of stuff left open. They did it on purpose. Like, you don't really need to know.
No, I think that's actually because J.J. Abrams is not a good storyteller. Like, I think he is I think he's excellent at repackaging somebody else's story. But I think if you put him in charge of the story, it's gonna die. Like because he just can't finish it. He has these really great ideas for beginning the story, but he just can't stick the landing.
I can't hear you.
Marco.
Sorry, I didn't turn my mic back on. So he was like created the show, but the guys who were running it were kind of like the day-to-day, kind of creating the stories as they went along, right?
Yeah, I think they came up with it on the show. Yeah.
Yes and no, but like, I mean, seriously, like if you look at his film history, like going forward, and what he did with the reboot Star Treks, and what he did with Star
Wars. Yeah.
All of this is pretty on brand for him.
Right.
Yeah. But it was such a magical show to begin with. Like I love the first 6 seasons. That 7th season with all the flash forwards and flash sideways and flashbacks. That got a little longer too. That was crazy.
Another really, really good example of when a show became a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that would like Sopranos, like those were like the really first ones.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a lot.
That was another show that was supposed to only have a couple of seasons, and they stretched it out, I think. Also.
Yeah, and that's again the death of the show. You stretch out.
Yeah.
That could have been a good 4 seasons. Maybe 5 and cut it and be done with it.
But I think they just did, they ended up like writing themselves into like they just couldn't figure out where to go, and so
So here's my difference between Breaking Bad and Lost, right? So we're gonna go back on topic here. I know, right? Heaven forbid. So like Breaking Bad,
I'm touching them.
So Breaking Bad was really good. The writing was so tight on so much of it. You had your issues with like Marie, but like when
you just have to let that go.
No, she was a purple nightmare. So when you have certain things happen, there wasn't a lot of stuff where you're like, I don't know that would happen that way, or why didn't they just do this? It's kind of like, you know, they did try to do stuff and it just went horribly wrong. Right. They tried to solve certain problems and you're like, okay, and it just went horribly wrong. But you have a show like Lost and everybody's on this island and they're all sort of going off and doing their thing and they're seeing some really crazy shit. And nobody goes back to the group and says, hey, you know what I saw? Call me crazy, but there was a big giant smoke fucking monster. Or there was a white polar bear on this island. Some shit's happening here. And we all need to get together as a group and go find out what's happening. So like, you know, you fall into these you fall into these traps of like, because two people go off on their own without the larger group. And you probably have more, you know, safety in numbers. If you just told the whole group, let's all go do this and find out what's happening over here. But they don't. Which, you know, obviously that helps to further the story. I get that. But it's unrealistic. Right. If you have a group of people who want to this, you know, this tragedy, this plane crash, you kind of band together and go, okay, we all need to find out what the hell's happening so we can all stay safe. And if you saw some crazy shit, you go tell somebody.
We know that's what happens because we've seen it happen over and over and over in these extreme situations. You know, like the soccer team in the Andes.
Yeah.
They all stay.
But I mean, people love to gossip.
Oh, even the Donner.
Wouldn't you tell anybody? Yeah. Look at now. If that was happening now, people be tweeting about a big, scary smoke monster. Hashtag fucking help. You know what I mean? Like,
but you think they'll ever revisit that show?
I would, you know, like
The Wild. The Wild. Yeah, I want to say it's an Amazon thing.
Oh, and yes, I think I saw a trailer for that, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like I haven't actually seen the show, but it looks like a combination of like Lord of the Flies meets Lost. And I kind of want to know like if that's really where it's going.
Yeah.
Because I want to see if that's in fact what it is. I think it would be really interesting to see how different it is from Lost, because again, Lost took place, you know, so long ago. Because but in like people weren't as networked,
right,
as they are now.
But you know, there was a lot of water cooler gossip around the show, but there wasn't a lot of like, you know, Twitter internet version talking about the show as there was about Breaking Bad or, you know, the shows nowadays. Of course, certain like, you know, Mandalorian and that stuff that's happening now. So there wasn't that as much, but it was frustrating to watch that show. And like I said, the first couple of seasons were super strong, and then it petered out at the end. But with Breaking Bad,
we had this "they're dead" cop out, and it's just like,
and you kind of saw it coming, but it just still felt cheap.
Yeah,
still felt cheap, you know. But again, the whole first.
If we're going to hit cheap and cop out and trailing off, there's an elephant like King's Landing in the room.
Yeah, I think it definitely did as well. That's the biggest gripe. Actually, that last episode and that last season was phoned in as well. You know, But again, you know, heading back to Breaking Bad, it's like it started decent, got stronger, and then stayed strong to the very end.
Right. Now, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you guys a question. Was there ever a point where you were not on Walter's side? Like, everybody's...
There was a couple of times where I thought, obviously, he took it way too far.
What was your point?
Like, you know, when he had to take out Gus, and that's okay. It was after Gus.
Because Gus was terrifying, and like that made sense.
Gus was going to kill him and his family, right? So you had to do what you had to do. It was kind of after Gus that he really started to like be the most Heisenberg and dropped so much of Walter that he really started to pull some crazy shit. And he really started to get things wrong.
For me, it was when he killed Mike.
Yeah, like right near the end. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know?
Actually, I mean, for me, I think that point started a lot earlier because I think the path he ends up on, right? There are a number of times where he has the option to choose something different, and he doesn't.
Right.
And ostensibly, again, it's because he's got these concerns for his family, but that's not really what's happening at this point.
No, he likes what he's doing, and he's good at it, and he wants to create this empire, whether it's because he gave up his rights to what would have been an empire, prior to in gray matter, and now is kind of getting that redemption for himself to show that he could do it.
And he is in fact Heisenberg. I mean, and I think this is really like this whole that's that whole arc, right? Is losing Walter.
Yeah, and you see it in so many ways. So there's some of the great parts about the show. Obviously, the cinematography was incredible, but then the costuming, watching people change, watching him change and his colors, and there's a lot. I mean, there's charts among charts of all the different color schemes between him and Jesse and everybody else, and how they do. And some other, and then there's some characters you forget were in there, like Kristen Ritter. Yeah, I forgot she was in there. Like,
that's another scene where I thought Walter went overboard with.
Yeah, when he let her die.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he let her die. Yeah, absolutely. I loved. Yeah, it was great to see John Delancey in there.
Mr. Q.
I am excited about John Delancey anytime I see that man.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. He was great.
He went out in a shocking way.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. Let's talk about some of the characters who didn't quite make it to the end, and how they. It's a long list. It's a long list of important characters who don't make it. Right.
Yeah, and they end up dying in increasingly ridiculous ways.
Yes,
it's crazy, right? Because the thing about Breaking Bad is that you don't realize how insane it really is until you step back, and I think that's something that you miss when you binge it, because you're still in that headspace, you're still in that in the rhythm. But when you step back and you think about it, so. In college, I had to take a Faulkner seminar, and there's this book called As I Lay Dying, and there's this, in the whole part of it is they've got to haul this body to Yoknapatawpha County, and it is one of the funniest books I have ever read, and it is not funny while you are reading it. It is in fact painful while you are reading it. It's not funny. It's not funny while you're reading it. It's hilarious when you sit there and think about it, because there's literally a sequence where one of the characters is convinced that his mother can't breathe in the coffin, and so he takes a corkscrew and drills holes in the coffin that ultimately go into her face.
Whoa! Wow.
And while you're reading this is terrible. But when you sit back and you think about it, it starts to become a little hilarious. And so
it does become a little ridiculously hilarious. Yeah.
Right. And so Breaking Bad's like that, in the sense that, again, all of these, when they dissolve the bathtub and the mess goes.
When they take Gus out with. With Salamanca, when they take him out and the bomb takes off half of him, yet he still walks out of the room and fixes his tie.
It's like Two-Face.
Half his face missing and an eye, and then he's just kind of he's like, "Oh, that sucked," and then he falls. I mean, that started, I think, to me, the ridiculousness of that would have taken out more than half his face, but he would not have gotten up either. And then to walk out and just go,
fix myself before you coming out. No?
I'm not gonna lie, when that happened, I had a moment where I'm like, are they gonna make him Two-Face?
Right? It's the wrong side of the face, but it still works. It's the wrong side of the face, but it still works. But then, to me, the ultimate is the final episode when he takes out the gang with the gun, with the machine gun in the trunk. Totally ridiculous, but I cheered. You see it coming, but I cheered so hard.
Yeah, those guys deserved it too.
Oh, they deserved it. They deserved it big time.
Yeah,
they were worse than Gus. I thought they were just horrible guys.
Well, they were just inept, and they just they were just going on brute strength and guns. You know what I mean? They had no plan.
And then they killed Jesse's girlfriend. That was wow. Yeah.
Breaking Bad kind of has a problem with female characters.
It does not enjoy them. It does not like keeping them around.
Is there even one redeeming one?
It's not even a question of just redeeming them. It's they're not people so much as they're characters. And that's kind of a problem.
They're kind of cannon fodder for the most part.
They are cannon fodder.
Or plot devices.
We fridge so many of those characters, and it's just come on, guys! They created such wonderful, fantastic, nuanced characters but like if you didn't have a penis, like that apparently meant couldn't be wonderful and nuanced.
Yeah.
I think Saul fixes that though.
But we're not on Saul.
No. They definitely fix that better with her, yeah, in Better Call Saul. You know, you're right. We'll get to that one. I enjoy that show, not as much as Breaking Bad, but I do enjoy Better Call Saul. It's still a step down from Breaking Bad, but still, this last season should be a
season
lot
5
stronger.
is probably my favorite season, though. Saul.
Yeah, this new season's going to be good. I think this new season, because it gets us as close to Breaking Bad as we can get.
Right.
You know,
right.
So it should be good, and that's really just what I want. Is just more Breaking Bad. You can't have it because Walter's gone, but you still.
I know we were talking on our show, like who else would be like another spinoff? You know,
who could you spin off to? So maybe we talked about that, like maybe like an El Camino style movie on Gus's backstory. Right, his Chile background, you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff, where he came from, because you always hear about his, what a threatening person and origin he has, but you never see it, so it's all just.
How do you meet up with the chicken people and stuff like that? You know.
Yeah. So like Dirty Confession, I think it's better that we don't know.
Yeah,
it can be. It can be
because I think because no matter what they tell us, no matter what story they spin, it's not going to be as terrifying as the crap that's floating around in my head.
Well, there's that. That's the school of thought, right? You're going to think of way worse shit than it'll actually happen. And it's kind of like I was just hearing today about the Obi-Wan, and so Rey is Palpatine, but she also might be a Kenobi.
What?
That Rey's mother is a Kenobi. They're thinking of kind of putting that in there. So she might not be. She might not be Ben's daughter, but it could be somebody else in the Kenobi family who you never hear about, or it's Ben. And maybe they solve some of that in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Like, how does he have time to have a family, or is it somebody who related to him and yet she might be a Kenobi as well?
Okay, all right. I actually. Woo, rant time here.
I hope that doesn't happen.
I hated that whole part of The Rise of Skywalker. Like, I hated all of this focus on who she related to, because the thing about it is like, I also hate for the same reason that I hate the fact that the Mandalorian goes back to Tatooine like all the time.
Yeah, Boba Fett. The whole Boba Fett series is all on Tatooine. So,
well, at least that makes sense, right? Like, I mean,
it's the only fucking planet in this whole galaxy that anything happens on.
Right? I mean, we have all of you've got a literal fucking galaxy, guys. Like, I mean, it's big. There are lots of people. Not everybody has to be related.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just found it really frustrating.
The Skywalker saga, they feel like everybody has to kind of be tied together. I think it's crap. I think she didn't need to be a Palpatine.
No, I didn't think she needed to be a Palpatine, and because I think you could have done the Rise of Skywalker, the Skywalker saga very, very well without with letting her choose to take the name.
Yeah, without having to drop her Palpatine name. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and also I think we were going to get a very different movie had Carrie Fisher not died.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think you're right. Right.
I'm a fan of the old school, the EU stuff, Yeah. And
but then where do you come up with her powers? Right? She's got the lightning power. She has certain things that are, a Sith / Palpatine trait.
Right.
That she can do.
In the old EU, Luke had a wife. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of wanted to see that, and maybe Rey was.
Doesn't he marry Mara Jade?
Yeah.
And Mara Jade was so much better.
Yeah. Oh, way better. I would love to have gone through that. Just seeing that stuff.
I kind of wanted Rey to be,
versus the Luke that we got.
Right.
So, all right, unpopular opinion. I really liked the fact that Luke was
Really?
I did.
He was such a lame duck.
I mean, but he was a lame duck in A New Hope. And he was he's been kind of lame the whole time.
I know, but wouldn't it have been nice to see a little redemption on him? And maybe he actually stepped up? Because if you watch Boba Fett, he's in there. He's in there for a
Right.
whole episode.
Even Mandalorian. Yeah.
He's briefly in the Mandalorian, but they put an entire episode of him in Boba Fett. So it's after Jedi, and he's training. He's starting to build his academy with Grogu's supposed to be his first one. Turns out not to be, and he gives him that ultimatum, which is a Sith thing. It's kind of a weird, like they're still not treating him right. Like, but he never got proper Jedi training. He was on Dagobah from with Yoda for a little while, and it's like, all right, I'm off.
Yeah. Seriously, he's like, I got a week. I got this, and it's just like, no, you don't.
He got the Reader's Digest version of the Jedi manual.
Mm-hmm. But what I liked was what Rian Johnson was doing, which was this idea that we were going to shift it entirely into the hands of a younger generation, and like maybe try to pattern this new generation on Leia, because like, let's be real, Leia is the only one of them that did not punk out.
Right.
Yeah, she was a badass fighter to the end.
Right. And
like getting sucked out into space and like forcing herself back into the ship.
Right.
Like, I'm not going out like that.
No. Right. You might be able to do that to Akbar, but you're not doing that to me.
That's right.
I also think they took too long to film the sequel. They should have waited. They should have did it when they were a little bit younger to film those movies. Maybe we could have seen more of them.
That's right. Like the problem was getting the impetus to do that and trying to figure out what they were going to do. And I really think that we just didn't need that story. Period. Like I really do. Like I mean, I wish we'd been able to see like where Rian Johnson was going with this, and we didn't have to deal with this whole like Kylo Ren business, blah blah blah. It was not. Yeah,
I did hear that like Lucas would like to entertain the notion of doing a different series based on the dark side, like highlighting and spotlighting the dark side, not only just Sith, but the dark side, instead of always being about the light and the good.
Embrace the fact that he's done.
But even if he doesn't do it, which I'd rather him not do it, I don't mind the idea coming across from him and letting better people do it.
Isn't there going to be a new series that's based on the dark side? It's going to be on Disney Plus.
I think that the problem with it being on Disney Plus is that it would be on Disney Plus, and Disney has very real rules for how things are going to go.
Yeah,
it's supposed to take place before Phantom Menace. I think it's about the rise of Palpatine.
I don't want to know anymore about Palpatine.
It's a character we've seen enough of. In fact, it's like I didn't need him to come back in the series and be like Snoke be nothing but a clone, and then
that Snoke thing, that was like total waste right there.
Yeah, it was a total waste.
It was dumb.
Yeah, it was a wicked throwaway for no reason, and then you have Palpatine's back, like great. I was happy to leave him down the shaft. Sounds dirtier than I meant it, but I was happy to leave him down there.
Yeah.
But no, they had to drag his crippled, wrinkly ass out again.
So many things wrong with those sequels. I can go on forever.
It really was. So, well, I'm glad we enjoyed our time talking about Star Wars. It's our Star Wars episode, everybody. Hope everybody enjoyed. Anyway,
we never end up on like where we think we're going to end up.
No, and that's okay. So let's go back to Breaking Bad since we have a little bit more time, because we like to keep it to 2 hours here.
We'll never get to Saul, will we?
No, we'll do Saul I want to do Saul when the season's done. When the series is done, I want to do a full recap of the series. So let's hold that until August.
Right, I can give you 10 more minutes.
Yeah, that's it. That's fine. So let's what is your favorite arc in the story?
Oh, God.
Was it the Gus Fring stuff? Was it the basically the skinhead Nazi guys? You know what I mean? What was your favorite arc?
Well, the Gus Fring stuff was like most of the series, though.
I
think that's the hard part, right? Like, because I mean, how many times did Jesse flirt with redemption? How many times? Right.
So close.
Did you think that you were gonna? You talking about edging, right?
Redemption, bitch. Yeah. No, absolutely.
so close to getting my shit together. So so far.
So far, he gets his ass kicked and he's off to the races.
Then you get the
right? Yeah. I think it'd be really hard for me to going back to talking about like how the writing was tight, Marie notwithstanding. But is that you can't really pick up a piece and separate it out. I don't think. Because, like, if you like an arc, you like it because it fed into something else. Like Raphael mentioned, right? Like, the Gus Frank stuff is threaded throughout.
Right.
You know, like, the relationship with, you know, like, the arc with Skylar and Walter and just the shitstorm that ends up being.
Right.
It starts, like, you see the seeds of it in the first episode and it just continues.
Right.
So yeah, like, I mean, it's all interconnected, and it's that interconnectedness that I think really makes Breaking Bad stand out.
Yeah. I like the development and how he changes. So, like, one of his strongest parts is how he takes on, he takes on, what do you call it? Like the traits of other, right? He takes on the traits of Gus. Right, he develops as he's creating his character.
Right.
Yeah.
You
know what I mean? So, like, that was very interesting, and it took a few watches for me to really pick up on that. You know, kind of going through it, how, you know, Gus lays the towel down in front of him when he's, you know, and then Walter somehow does that too. He never really watches Gus do it, but then Walter kind of does that. He folds the towel and puts it in front of the toilet, things like that. Like, that's kind of interesting how he picks up on things like that. You know, he gets sort of Gus's fastidiousness about things.
Yeah.
As he builds his, you know, character of.
Part of that, though, like, I think when I was watching that part, I didn't really pick up on this, but, like, having now sort of learned a little bit more about it, some of that fastidiousness is a survival tactic because it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
Sure. You know, because if you mess up even a little bit, right, you get one thing out of place, which he ends up doing, right? He ends up doing that, right, with the book, right? He leaves the book and it blows everything up, right? So he has that. He's picking up these traits, but he's not Gus, right? He's not these people. He's not Mike. He's not. You know, he says things like Mike says. You know what I mean? He picks up what Mike is.
It's also kind of like an interesting sub-theme because there's this real question about who is Walter White? Like, who is Walter? Like, does he really have a personality before Heisenberg?
Right. It was just he was always there.
Yeah.
He was always right there, ready to come out.
But I love Walter's ingenuity when he's in a tight situation. He always
that's always fun.
Yeah.
But it's not quite MacGyver, but it's like
he is very MacGyver.
He's MacGruber. MacGruber.
Yeah, when he made that big magnet. Remember that episode?
Yeah. But that was Jesse's idea. So I love, like, Jesse was a great side character who would, in his bumbliness, come up with a lot of answers.
Yeah. And then
but nobody took him seriously.
Green Heist was good too.
He would toss some stuff out and you'd be like, that's nonsense.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, like, it would come back to the end of the episode, or really the beginning of the next episode, realistically. Right. And it would be like, wait a minute. That, like you said, that's literally, you're like, wait a minute, didn't Jesse suggest this?
Yep.
And how many times did they use ricin?
Yeah. Which was great, because they bring it back at the end. Again, strong ending, right?
Yeah.
He kills Lydia with it. Right? Like, how amazing was that? Like, that, to me, didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
No.
Did not see that
coming.
coming.
Ricin, really.
Like, because they didn't use it for a while, right?
So much crap had happened in the intervening episodes.
Yeah.
You're just like, and then you're like, oh my God, right!
But he goes back to get it at the house. He takes it out of the wall because it's still there behind the plug.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, he's got the ricin. What's he going to do with it? Right? And you're like, all right. And then Lydia's dying. I'll be like, oh my God, son of a bitch snuck it into her stevia.
Yeah.
Like, that's genius. And you don't see him, like, prepping it, right? Like, you don't see him trying to do it. It just happens. Like, oh my God. So that's what I'm talking about. It ties up so much, and he takes care of everybody that's a threat to him and a threat to his kids getting his money.
Yeah, because by that point, it's we don't care anymore.
Right.
Yeah, and I was okay with Hank dying. That didn't bother me as much.
I thought he had to die because he knew too much, and he was never gonna let it go. So
no,
he was never gonna let it go.
His partner, I felt bad for, but not Hank.
Yeah,
but that was it. So
I was so happy to see his partner back in that episode of Saul.
Yes, and that's been the great thing about Saul, is seeing some revisits from some old characters.
Yeah,
which we talked about that before.
Together. Yeah,
we talked about that before. So sometimes it's weird.
They're zombies.
Sometimes it's weird because, you get Huel, who's really thin now, compared to what he was on Breaking Bad. And then you got we talked about with Jesse Plemons, his character.
Right. Yeah.
He went the opposite way.
Yeah.
When he came to El Camino, I was like, that was a little off-putting. Like, dude, have an apple and go to the gym. You have a show to do. Do what you gotta do. Have a salad. Have pizza.
We're never meeting in real life, Marco.
Did you hear the nickname that people call him online?
No.
Plumpy Plemons? Is it Plumpy Plemons?
No, Fat Damon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like Plumpy Plemons.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. I just came up with that. It's top of my head. All right.
I never really got into the fandom involved with this. Now, some of that's because obviously I have one fandom that I can handle.
Right.
Only so much. There's only so much, but I got a lot of it. I watched what I could watch. I read what I could read. Not as much as I did with Lost. The Lost was one of those first shows that really did a lot of that. They had their online websites for the Dharma Initiative and commercials and all this.
Yeah, you can go down a rabbit hole with that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did a lot. They did a lot of shows. Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And it generated so much interest to the show, right? And it kept you going in between seasons.
Yeah.
And normally it's all right, when look at now, it's been 2 years between seasons of Saul. Most of that's due to the pandemic and then his heart attack. Right. But it's a long time to wait for a show. It's not quite, it's worse than the Doctor Who. That show takes forever to come back.
Yeah.
That is torturous.
I mean, wasn't there a 30-year hiatus?
Well, yeah, between that and sure, no, but even since then, right? When you had Chris Eccleston's series, his first season, which only did one, and then all the seasons for that, they do their Christmas episode, and then it's forever for the next season.
Right.
Yeah, it's really bad.
When is it coming? It's because Tennant's schedule got weird, and then Matt
became high demand. Yeah.
That was one of the most tear-jerking ones.
That's the other thing. At least you knew, right? Because I remember, right? Of course, we're going to go back to Star Trek because hello, I'm on here. But I knew, I remember when that moment from Best of Both Worlds when it ends and it's I am Locutus of Borg. It's a hell of a cliffhanger, right?
That was a great cliffhanger.
You knew when it was coming back. You knew you just had to get through the summer movie season.
Right.
Yeah.
Better Call Saul's been interminable to wait for.
And wasn't there some doubt on that episode when they did that episode, they might not come back or something? Patrick Stewart, he wasn't there was negotiation.
Oh no, he was locked in for in a 7-year contract.
Oh, okay. Because I thought
that was the real issue. Is when he auditioned for it and he got the part. He's like, do I really want to lock myself into 7 years? Because that's they were literally locking people into 7-year contracts.
Yeah.
With limited.
With the exception of Tasha.
That wasn't her idea.
No, it
was not. That was not Denise Crosby's idea.
No.
I thought she didn't want to be on the show. That's what I always thought.
They apparently didn't lock her into a 7-year.
Gaze McFadden got fed up with some of the things that they were doing, and so she takes a year, right? Yeah. And that's when we get Dr. Pulaski. But Crosby did not sign up for that. And there's this wonderful conversation that apparently Berman made this whole joke about the fact that he had Tasha's communicator pin on his desk. And being and years later being haha, Isn't that great? And Denise Crosby's like,
Douchey
he
move.
literally came up to me and ripped it off my shirt.
Yikes.
Wow. Sounds like a lovely man.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lovely gentleman.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's not there. No. So, but that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, you knew when those things were coming back, and now we don't. Now we don't have any of that kind of planning.
Right. Yeah.
Because, I mean, are we getting more seasons of Loki? I don't know. Are we getting more seasons of the Scarlet Witch? I don't know.
No.
They keep saying yes, but some of them I wouldn't mind if they don't come back. But
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye can just fly right the hell out.
They're doing a spin-off of Hawkeye, though.
Dear God, why?
Yeah. With Echo. I don't know how that's going to work.
Dear God,
there's no
why?
need. There's no need. The Echo show, there's no need. There's zero need for that.
fine.
And I like her, but there's no need for the show. There's no need of it.
No.
There's so many other characters, so many other things to do.
Yeah.
It's a waste.
You've got a huge pantheon, like, just let certain things just float away. Like, it's fine. It's fine.
We're actually doing that. I think, on the podcast we're going to do, the Big Day podcast. Raphael actually talked about that too. Is all the different Marvel characters like that we'd like to see. We still want to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, especially now that they have X-Men, there's so much things they could do with the X-Men now.
Yeah. Who haven't they used?
Does this mean they can stop teasing us with Quicksilver? Because that would be nice.
Yeah.
Well, they could actually give us a real Galactus now that they'd had the Internals instead of a big giant smoke monster. But that's the scuttlebutt, if you will, that he'll basically be coming in because of the Eternals and Fantastic Four. He'll get
it kind of makes sense now that why he would want to eat the Earth.
Well, he's essentially a celestial, like he's a giant space creature, so he can basically be now they can see they can do something that large and enormous. Like, okay, we can make a real Galactus.
Wait, do you think they'll give him the human face, or they'll give him like a robotic face?
I hope they do it as close to the comics as they can make it look realistic. You know what I mean? So, like, Marvel has been good at that, like giving us as close to comic accurate as we'll,
Again,
we can stomach on.
If you had asked me 6 months ago if I thought Moon Knight was going to work, I don't know that there's no way they would have pulled that off, and yet
it is working like a mofo. Like, it is working like crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I think we even talked about this. Like, but maybe the Demolition Man episode. I don't even know. We talked about this. We talked about like the fact that like there was no reason that should have worked, and yet it did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it works crazy. I'm so happy with that show. I already want a season 2.
Right. Yeah.
Because the 6th episode bullshit's driving me crazy.
Yeah. I noticed Marvel has a lot of characters with multiple personalities.
Yeah.
I keep flashing back to Legion like hard.
Yeah. And then you got Venom too. It was kind of like that too. Like he's talking to somebody.
The two dual personalities talking to each other. Yeah.
It's usually the Hulk also.
I feel like Moon Knight is Legion done by Tim Burton. As opposed to Legion, which was the X-Men done by Wes Anderson.
Right. Yep.
We're on our mark, guys.
Hey, it's 2 hours, Marie. I know you got to go, so I want to thank you for being on the show. As always, so Marie, tell everybody where they can find you before you leave. Tell everybody where we can...
Tracker's Delay, where all your podcasts are found.
There it is. I love it. And Raphael, thank you.
Give
everybody your where they can find you.
Yeah, I got the Geeky Dad Podcast and the Geeky Dad After Dark Podcast, and we're wherever you can listen to podcasts, everywhere out there.
Yep, and I appear on a few of those episodes. Cause a little hell, cause a little trouble, whenever I can.
We were going to put you in our outro, my dude.
Oh, I would love that. That would make me so happy. As long as you put a little picture of me with my Entertainment Rants mask on or something like that.
I'll let the kids wear it.
Yes, I'm gonna brand your outro. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. All right, everybody. We are Entertainment Rants at entertainmentrants.com. You can also find us wherever your podcasts are found. You can find us online as well at Instagram, which is our most popular one I use the most, which is at Entertainment Rants. Facebook is /Entertainment Rants, and Twitter is Entertain Rants because they can't handle all the letters. So there you have it. All right, everybody. Thank you again so much. We'll talk offline and find out when we're going to do this again. Because as always, it was a blast.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Marco.
All right.